Fam, welcome to the Future Wives Club. It is Monday, April 12th. We're here every Monday, 5:30 p.m., having some honest, bold, brazen conversations about what it looks like to build healthy and sustainable relationships. Really just trying to contribute to the space. I know right now, in the midst of recovering from the COVID pandemic, there has been a lot of emphasis on relationships in the circles I'm in and how to grow them. So this is a really prime time. And I have back here with me again my very favorite special guest, my husband, Pastor Nicholas Stotzer, for part three. Welcome back,
Hello,
babe.
hello, my queen.
You were just blowing it up last week. You brought such good information, taking us into
Mm,
um just the mind of men and the heart of men, and we really got deep into whether a man is marriage minded or not, how long it takes him to realize that he wants to marry a particular woman. It was good. It was good. So this week, I want to do the same thing, like let you loose, let you, take us in for part three into the minds of men. I do have your book here, so I could pull questions from your actual yet unreleased book, and I might do that. But
go for it.
I think we have the most fun when you just kind of get, you just get happy and start going in. So I'm excited. Um, you're gonna take us in and tell us about what men think. So what's on your mind
Like
tonight?
I'm gonna all this is leading up to a major letdown. like
Ah,
I'm gonna fall flat on my face. No,
ah.
no, no. Let's do it. Let's pick a chapter, pick a thing, and then ask a question, and you'll see what God says.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right. And all of you who are, watching Facebook Future Wives Club, Firehouse, Kimberly Stotzer YouTube page, Firehouse YouTube page, wherever you watch it from, go ahead, post comments, post questions. We can definitely work those in as we have our part three here tonight. All right. So I'm gonna
Excited.
start with day one. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Let's see where this goes. I'm gonna start with day one. Day one on this 30-day devotional guide for men. Husbands, it is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search out a matter. Are
Hmm.
you searching out the heart of God for your wife's heart? Be a king today. Take your place.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay. So, like I've said before, men are genuinely and generally very simple creatures. And because we are simple creatures, sometimes we come across as fairly dumb. And that's why we do dumb stuff into our 40s and 50s. It's just big boys with toys, basically. But a lot of the issues with marriage and men is they fail to do the one thing the scripture always calls us to do, which is it's the glory of God to conceal a matter and the glory of kings to search it out. Well, if your heart's wife is being concealed for whatever reason, wouldn't it be obvious to go search out the heart of the Father for your wife's heart? So the thing is, forgive me, my queen, if I say this a little crass. I apologize. But sometimes women don't even know what they want. And so it can be that one thing is being said and another thing is being felt. And it's the it's the obligation of the husband to search the heart of the father to find out what she really needs, to
Okay.
listen to her and to take it to God and to say, Lord, explain her heart to me. So there you go.
Okay. So it's the obligation of the husband to take it even to the spiritual level to ask God to explain her heart to him. All right.
100%. But I mean, part of a biblical husband, right? When we're talking about biblical husbandry, and just the whole point of me even writing the book is a lot of husbands really don't have a simple guide or a simple tool to point them in the right direction because the vast majority of men's fathers weren't believers or nominal believers or just kind of that skate on by kind of Christian, like, hey, let's pray before meals, but didn't necessarily show them a particular way. Not everybody, of course, but I'm just saying, as a general, most guys don't get didn't see a very good example of what it means to be a husband. And so this particular thing
Yeah.
is a really, this first day is a simple step to get guys kind of in that mode, like, hey, first and foremost, we are a covering. We need to pray. So, when it comes to biblical marriage and the understanding of biblical marriage, I heard what she's saying, but I'm going to go to the heart of I'm going to go seek the heart of the Father for what she's actually needing. So, and it might be the very thing she's saying, but I need to go make sure that I'm covering her right. So that's really what that's about.
All right.
Sorry if that hurt anyone's feelings.
No. Listen, Pastor Nick, we only have so many minutes. So I
Sure.
have to dig in because we need to know things. Do you know what I'm
Talk
saying?
to me. Talk to me.
Okay, you talked about the list last week, right? The list that women have of men. And you talked about a couple things that really shouldn't be deal breakers on a list, right? That
Oh
are
yeah.
women that are making women turn away from actually good men because of like shallow stuff. So here's what we want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. As a man, as a pastor, pretend you're looking out for your daughter, right? Your sister, whatever. Your sister, your friend. What should be on a good woman's list when she's seeking,
you put me in troubled waters here.
Come on.
Well, I will leave it as a very basic list, so that people can build, add or subtract as they so choose. But these are the things that that as 15 years of marriage counseling, well, not 15, I'd say 13 years of marriage counseling, 15 years as a pastor. I would say that these are the women's list. First of all, let me just say this. There are make the largest list you want to. Petition the Father for it. I'm not sitting here and saying that you shouldn't be, grandiose in your heart's desire. But there should be certain things that are non-negotiables for yourself, and certain things that are just, bottom line, very flexible around. So let me just say that when we're talking about this list thing, which I don't necessarily think you really need one, but let's say you want to make a list, the vast majority of what you put on there needs to be very flexible, if not easily removed.
Okay.
Because women tend, at least I have seen in my many years of counseling people, very creative in their lists to make sure that he's the right one.
I feel like you are stalling. I feel like you are giving me too many precursors to
all right.
List.
First and foremost, okay. The hard part about answering the question is that what does she know what she wants for a marriage? And that's for her to answer. Because if she's saying, well, I just want a man who believes, well, you got lots of men that believe, but is that really what you're looking for? So I want somebody to go to church with. Okay, you want somebody that is a committed follower of Christ, that is a disciple of Jesus. Okay, you can put that on that list. But after that point, it gets really intricate and very muddied in terms of what women actually say they want. I would say that the non-negotiables is, first and foremost, like I said last week, someone who's already marriage-minded. And so I would say you need a guy that's marriage-minded, because a guy that's marriage-minded is a guy that's always trying to pursue his wife. So he's never complacent in staying in one, kind of, what's the right word, monolithic ideology about what each season should look like. He's always willing to pursue his wife.
By the way, 1 second. I just want to say, Maranatha, I see you. We definitely gonna answer your question like next. I see you. Hold on, we're gonna get.
I didn't see the question, so I apologize.
I got you. I see the question. I just want to let them know I see the question. You go ahead and answer the current question.
Sure. So I would say that first and foremost, okay, the guy loves Jesus. The guy follows Jesus. Obviously, that's what you want as a woman who wants a husband who is a Christian. All right, not just a nominal Christian who goes to church on Easter and Christmas, but you want somebody that actually goes to church with you. Okay, that needs to be on the list. After that, I mean, a lot of the things is, for women, the big issue is a lot of times becomes money. You need to be okay with a minimal level of income. And I know this sounds really practical and harsh and non-spiritual, but the vast majority of divorces are happen based on dollars. So you need to be okay with a certain level of income, period. So I would say believes in Jesus, find him somewhat attractive. Because personality, if we really get into what women always say, personality is everything, but they have so many other things on that list that really don't matter. So let
All
me,
right.
I remember this one time and just real quick, I was talking to this one woman, very sweet lady, genuinely loved Jesus, but she had stuff on her list and is from the East Coast because but lives in Los Angeles and
Just
has
real specific.
I'm like, calm
You
down,
brought
just
this
calm down.
down to a minute like percentage of the
Right.
world.
It just, so when you ask me what should women look for, it's really hard to tailor what each woman likes. The basics is, does he love Jesus and follow Jesus, and is he tender to you? Doesn't mean he's not masculine, but is his heart tender to you? If his heart's tender to you, that's really all that really matters.
All right. So Maranatha asked this question. I'm gonna put this out there, sir, for you, sir. She says, maybe you guys have addressed this before now, but I've been more disheartened that perhaps men can't see but skin deep. So can you
Mm,
guys encourage my heart in that way? Because I feel women have a better time seeing men for who they are and liking them for their hearts, but I don't see that as much with guys.
first of all, it's a great question, and man, I mean, if I'm first of all, Maranatha, you're awesome and I love you. Uh, we know Maranatha from my house, so International House of Prayer, Kansas City. Um, e Tough question. I would honestly say that, look, to be honest with you, if we're talking about the current dating climate and the things that have gone on, men are really hurt right now. You know, a lot of men are really hurt. And this is what I mean. They've been beat up and this is not a pity party for guys, but they don't know how to be with a woman. So let's say, for example, um, and I say this genuinely because I, in a lot of my private one-on-ones with single men, their frustration isn't necessarily, oh my gosh, is she cute or not? Cute factor is fine, whatever. But how do I approach someone who seems unapproachable, or she seems overly eager? How do I how do I speak to somebody when I feel a little bit afraid that she really wants to just get married really quickly? You know, it and guys, then once we get past that awkward stage, generally are fearful because of what they might say or not say to push a woman away because of certain sensitivities, because there's such a hyper focus on certain aspects of a man and what he should be or shouldn't be. The slightest inkling in a direction and she's gone. So it's not so much that it's not skin deep, it's that a lot of men are genuinely fearful of how to approach. And so um, this is going to sound super weird, but the honest answer is, man, this is going to, man, I hate to say this. Ever just found that, sometimes guys, or, kind of like that same sex thing, like we suck sometimes. Guys just suck sometimes. But this is just what it is. We suck sometimes. And the truth is, men respond best to femininity.
I love guys.
So I love men too, but men respond best to femininity. It opens them up quicker. Instead of a hyper focused conversation around relationship, a natural conversation where a woman is just being her natural feminine self opens men up so much more quickly. Being honest.
All right. So what is femininity from a male perspective?
Y'all are just throwing like haymakers at me today.
Listen, man, we need it.
No, no, listen, I get it. Femininity from a male perspective, it's women walking in their own strength in who they are, but it's understanding that men have strength too and honoring what that is. And because femininity is going to be different for each woman. I'm not going to put my wife's femininity on another woman's femininity. That would be unfair. But if I had to take the characteristic of what femininity feels like to a man, it's you owning who you are and empowering who I am by understanding that our differences will bring us strength together. Does that make sense? Like my wife knows that I am, ooh, I like riding motorcycles. She might not necessarily like me riding motorcycles, but she's not trying to force me into a situation where I am no longer allowed to ride my bike. But rather she says, honey, if that's what you need, okay, but these are my concerns, but I'm here to support you. And it puts me in a position where automatically I'm like, my wife really cares about me. I feel her heart towards me. And even when we were dating, it was very much that way. And having that conversation, recognizing our differences in conversating, which were, by the way, we had far more things that we agreed on than disagreed on. But even when we disagreed on things, I never felt less than because of it. Does that make sense? So I would say that the characteristic of what femininity feels like to a man isn't appeasing somebody when they're wrong, but rather I feel empowered to become better.
See, when women hear femininity, I seriously think we think of like the color pink, right? Or
For some
like
women,
red lipsticks or heels. Like, I mean, we think of things that are outwardly considered girly. And yet when you describe femininity, I feel like what you described was something like vulnerability, kindness.
yes,
Um, you know.
because for a man, that's what it feels like. No, you and I know this, that what men need is respect. Respect equals love for men. So you
Yeah.
can say you love me, but if you don't respect me, I don't feel loved. And so for the communication about what femininity feels like to a guy, it bottom line feels like respect. I respect you. We can disagree, but we can disagree respectfully. I'm never going to diminish who you are as a man because of situations and circumstances. As a matter of fact, let my gentleness and my kindness and my virtues enhance who you are. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yeah, I think so. Y'all let me know in the chat. Does that make sense? That definition of femininity? Does that sound like what you've heard? Or
Because
is that
if I put, pink wallpaper and red lipstick and high heels, that's a lot of women aren't that. And it doesn't mean they're not feminine. It just means that I know what femininity makes a man feel like, and it bottom line feels like he's respected and heard and honored for who he is and what he brings to the table in her own unique way that only she can do. And that is femininity. It's not trying to force a man to fit a mold. That's too aggressive. And men are quickly put off by that.
See, you over here changing definitions of femininity. And I do want you to just tell me
I'm not trying to.
if you believe that you are speaking for most men or
Yes.
not, right? But
Yeah.
literally what I hear when I hear femininity is that, right? The red lipstick, the pink, that's where you got that from. And I'm glad to hear that, I could be feminine in my like black leather jacket right now.
Absolutely.
But now you're also talking about ultimately it's about making that man feel respected and who he is. And do you believe that this sounds like a really mature, kind of developed view of that? Is that something that you think is true for most men? Is this how most men see it? What percentage of men
Yeah.
see femininity this way?
I'd say most men see femininity this way. I would wholeheartedly say this though. There's a fine line, and let me say this, between being um, accepting and being run over. So nobody wants no man wants a woman he can run over. But he does want a woman who's confident in who she is. So, hey, when you reach that wall is known, but respected. Does that make sense? Like, look, I respect you, but you hit a wall. Stop. Let's have a conversation. Does that make sense? Do you hear what I'm saying? Because a man will not respect a woman that he can run over with just whatever.
Mm.
So he's not going to respect her. So let me get so here, like when men cheat on their wives, vast majority of the time it's never the pretty girl in the red dress. It's the one who made him feel good. She's usually uglier than the wife physically, but she made him feel good.
Hey, tell the truth. Okay.
I've counseled a lot of men who have cheated on their wives, and the vast majority of the women have never been prettier than the wife. It was that I just felt like I could talk and be with her. She made him feel comfortable. And when I was like, well, your wife doesn't make you feel comfortable? Well, she's always arguing and she's always complaining and she's always this and always that. It's like, look, calm down. And all his wife really wanted him to do was listen to her and just pay attention to her. She just went about it in the wrong way. And so that's no excuse for men cheating. Let me just say that. But in terms of why men cheat, the vast majority of it is they just wanted to feel accepted and respected. So listen, like I said, no one should cheat and there's never a reason to. But if you ever wanted to know why men do, that's the vast majority of the reason why men do. So I would say wholeheartedly that when it comes to this particular concept of femininity, dating, relationships, and male expectation.
Yeah, that's good.
We don't care. When we tell you we don't care how pretty you think you are, we really don't. We are really wanting somebody who's there for us and we can trust, and somebody who's going to make us feel respected and honored and loved, not just in private, but in public.
Wow. Wow. You know, that brings me to two directions. I could go into why men and women cheat. I realize I have less than 10 minutes left at this point.
I'm sorry.
I would say that women actually also cheat for a similar reason. It's usually about the man that made them feel the way that they felt like they couldn't feel. And like you said, there's not an excuse for that, because ultimately whether we make that choice or not is really about who we're deciding to be and how we're responding to the situation. Another person can't make a man or a woman cheat.
100%.
I agree that for women as well as men, it's usually about another person that gives them the feeling that they weren't getting in the relationship that they had.
Right. And the thing, and here's where a lot of men fail, is that they fail to recognize a change of season for women. The 20-year-old version is not the 30-year-old version, is not the 40-year-old version. So men need to learn how to change in seasons, because a lot of the times men don't like to change. They like things consistent. You know, most men like, hey, it's 6 o'clock, I get up, 7 o'clock, I eat breakfast, 8 o'clock, I'm at my desk, 5:30, I leave, 6 o'clock, I'm home, repeat, rinse, wash, so on and so forth. So so a lot of men like the consistency of marriage, but they fail to recognize change of seasons in marriage. Now, let me say this for ladies on how a lot of men feel. A lot of men feel that they're shamed in their seasons. So the 20-year-old version is not going to be the same guy as the 30-year-old version, is not going to be the same guy as the 40-year-old version, and that dad bod becomes real, but somebody is looking at but the wife is looking at another young man talking about, doesn't he look good? All of a sudden he feels insecure, and so on and so. Now he might not say it, he might not verbally come across that, but he absolutely feels all kinds of shame, all kinds of guilt. Why didn't I stay in shape? Oh, is she gonna go cheat on me here? Because he's hearing all of his friends talk about the side chick that they have, or the wife that cheated, or all kinds of stuff. And so he's wondering if that's going to be his wife, and it gets to be super messy. So
okay, I got a question. That came up in the chats from Antoya.
Okay.
Antoya, we love her.
What's up, Antoya?
She said sometimes this type of femininity is not appreciated by men. What should a woman do in that case?
Keep it pushing. See, the thing is, women can always attract a man. The issue is not whether women can attract men or not attract men. Women are always going to attract a man in any season, in any stage in life. The question is what you're willing to tolerate and not tolerate. So the quicker you can identify and say, he's not willing to respect who I am, is the quicker you can move on to find another one. The one thing that women fail to do is they fail to quickly, they're trying to find the redemptive quality in a guy. And the thing is, the vast majority of the time, the guy's already shown you who he is.
Oh my.
So,
yes.
I always tell women this. He's put his best foot forward in the first month of dating. It doesn't get better.
I keep saying that too. I'm sorry, go ahead. This is your time.
It just doesn't get better. In the first month of dating, you have reached the height of his capacity to be able to show you who he is. He's not getting better than that. Not to say he won't get more creative, not to say that he won't shine forth in other ways, but in terms of his real depth of romantic understanding, that's about where it's at, especially at a certain age, 30 plus, 25 plus. But for the sake of argument, we'll go plus. He's at his romantic depth. He doesn't go and get any better. So you either accept it and try to pursue it, or you move on past it. But the truth is, he's already told you who he is and shown you who he is within the first 30 days.
I got to say, even in the early 20s, in my experience, that first 30 days, that 30, 60, the beginning of dating, that was the most out of his way he was going to go. He's saying things that are the truth about him. And what women, like you said, we try to find that redemptive quality sometimes. We think we're going to turn it into a project, pull out his true potential, help him realize who he truly is inside, when actually he said exactly who he was. In my experience, if he was selfish, if he was greedy, if he was a womanizer, whatever it was, he told me initially in those first 30 days. And then like the depth of his pursuit, usually initiated right then.
Now, can I say this? Pastor Kim, can I say this around the same subject? Because never make a man your project. Yeah. You're not his mother. Don't be his mama. Okay? Never make a man your project.
Yes.
That doesn't mean he won't need help on a project, but he is not the project.
Oh, come on. You got to talk about the difference right there. That's big.
So
every wife needs to know how to do this.
Yes. So that doesn't mean he might not need your administrative help on a project or your creative help on a project. Be the helpmate, right? That he needs in a season, but he is not the project. Don't ever try to fix him. Even in marriage, don't ever try to fix him. You can say, listen, I need you to man up in this area, but don't ever try to fix him because you're not his mama. And he will never be the man you're calling him to be if you mother him.
Good God. I could just do a hallelujah dance right there. There is a difference between helping a man with a project, helping him with that business he's starting, helping him with that project he's doing, bringing your skills to the table and making him the project, meaning I'm doing all this to build him up into something that he's not today, because that fails before, during, or after a marriage.
100%.
God is the potter and we're the clay. we never become the potter of a man, that we can mold him in our hand into the image we have in our mind. And yes.
Absolutely. And by the way, let me also say this. So she says, so what do you do when he isn't manning up?
Help us.
Ah, good question. Tell him. Just flat out tell him, look, respectfully, honorably, say something. Say something. One of the best things that my wife does with me is if I'm failing in an area, she just flat out tells me, hey, listen, this area right here, I need you to do better in. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's that simple.
Well, it turns out all that hinting we do doesn't work. So I
No,
had
men
to
are, like I said, we think of it like this. It's not that we're literally stupid, but we are collectively dumb. We don't get the hints. Just tell us what it is. We don't. It's not like romantic hinting where you're winking and whatever. Like, we don't get relational hints like that. Stop
yeah.
dropping. You need to drop bombs in a respectful manner. So big old signs that say, "This right here is the problem. Can you please fix that?" And for a lot of guys, that simple identification and the trust that they'll fix it on their own is all they need.
Yeah.
Super
Amen.
simple. It's stop trying to complicate men. They're not complicated. They're really simple. I'll say that.
So did you tell Maranatha what she should do if he isn't manning up? Just tell
Uh,
him. She said, just tell him flat
yeah,
out.
just tell him flat out. If he's not manning up in an area, like let's say, for example, um, I don't know, y'all live in the woods and he needs to chop some wood, but ain't no wood chop. Just tell him, go chop some wood. It needs to get chopped. He'll go do it.
Keisha says, so if I drop a bomb, I'll be all right.
Hold on. Since I know Keisha, not your version of dropping a bomb. As, with respectfully and respecting and honoring, not to say you wouldn't respect and honor your man, of course you would, but I'm just saying respecting and honoring your man in the area of his deficiency is key. So that when you tell him that this needs to be fixed, he doesn't feel shamed about going and getting it fixed. So, perfect example, when we lived in Kansas City, listen, I'm from the city. There's certain things I didn't know about cicadas and what happens when they come out during the year and all the dead cicada bodies everywhere and snow and so there was a lot of help I needed to get from other men about learning how to do things, but that's because my wife, and if he doesn't do it, well, that I mean, are you sorry? But my wife said, "Hey, can we figure this out?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me go figure it out." And I went and got help to figure it out. And if he doesn't do it, depends on if you're married or if you're single. And what I mean by single is not married, because you're single till you're married. Of course, tell God on him. Absolutely, Maranatha. Uh, but if he doesn't do it, I, and you're married, I would say this: um, go get help. If it's consistently a problem, and this is like one of those things that is a real problem in your home, and he's not paying attention to his responsibilities and requirements, then I would pull other people in and say, and tell them you're going to do it. Look, if this doesn't get fixed, I need to start pulling other people in so we can get some help. Because that begins to wear on the relationship. And ultimately, this is how people divorce. So I would wholeheartedly say, listen, most of the time it's not going to go there because he's going to want to fix something for his wife that he loves. But if he really has a struggle, first of all, is it the kind of struggle that warrants consistency, like taking out the trash? That shouldn't be a divorceable offense.
Right.
But but one of the continual gentle reminders, like my problem is the dishes. 15 years of marriage, I still hate the dishes. I'm sorry I hate the dishes. I had to talk to him. I'm like, look, baby, I know you want me to do dishes. I need help with the dishes. And my wife, in her kindness, realized, you know what, I can do the dishes, and ask him for help when I need it. And and we worked it out to where it's not just a zero sum game. So there is a sense of communication, and working things out together. But if it's something that is solely his responsibility and it's something you're not to do or supposed to do,
Mhm.
I would say absolutely at some point bring in other people to help mediate the situation. But hopefully it never has to go there.
Yeah. I tell you what, you got me, Pastor Nick, thinking about expanding this from 30 to 60 minutes because I always feel like there's sometimes good questions and further to get. And every week when I have you on, I say, we're gonna have to do this like one more time. But you're like you can be my favorite guest. So who knows how many times.
You're my favorite.
Wow. You
I
know?
love you. I'm
I want to give you just a moment just to say any final thoughts, any final words that you want to share today.
yeah. I think, look, 2020 and COVID has revealed some imperfections in everybody. You know, I would, and though I would say, great, work on it. Don't focus on it when you're trying to date. What's his problem? What's her problem? So on and so forth.
Hmm.
No, there's a lot of things that are great about people already. We have to stop thinking so negatively in the dating realm and have our non negotiables with us, to set reasonable expectations. Don't overthink a thing and know that he is who he says he is right up front. He's putting his best foot forward. And women, stop overthinking. Not saying don't dress up and don't try to look cute, but stop overthinking the idea that he's only looking at your appearance. He's not. It's not nearly as important to him as your character. Are you are you going to honor him and respect him? Because a marriage-minded man doesn't want to feel like he is being disrespected in his marriage. That's not something that's attractive to him.
Yeah, and Maranatha brought up an idea, and I feel like it's echoing what you were saying too. She says, "So can a man see a gorgeous female and become unattracted when he sees her character or heart, etc., and vice versa?
Absolutely.
Like there's hope for girls that aren't tens on the outside but eights on the inside." you know,
Not a question. Not
yeah.
even a question. Absolutely. Listen, the guy that's looking at the 8, 9, 10 looking woman, knowing
Mhm.
she has poor character, is not trying to marry her. He's just trying to sleep with her.
Now here's the thing, that conversation we were on the tip of this whole time. And I feel like me and you would go off in a whole nother tangent on that because the men that are only looking for the outside and they're looking for a 10 and the tight, short, everything, usually
Mhm.
aren't the marriage minded one, right?
No,
I
no.
think that with some of our sisters' experiences amongst, say, the believing women, the
Mhm.
ones with a certain look might get approached more often. And I think that's what's under this. I
Oh,
feel
okay.
like, yeah. You were
Yeah, well,
highlighting today that there's also a way. It's not just a look, it's also a
yeah.
way of engaging that.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're going to be flat out honest, men are visual creatures. So I'm not going to sit here and try to say that there shouldn't be some effort into just being yourself and whatever. Like, look, let's I'm going to just be honest with you. A lot of guys will look at jeans and a t-shirt and be like, "Oh, she's gorgeous." And a lot of women will be like, "I just put on jeans and a t-shirt. I'm not even trying to dress up." It's how you present yourself. It's not necessarily what you wear. I mean, there's women that get hit on in sweats at the grocery store. It's not about what necessarily you're wearing, but about how you're presenting who you are. Do A man knows when a woman is presenting herself as available. It's just something that is in the eyes, something that we feel and see. And so we are automatically looking, of course, we're going to look somewhat at a woman's appearance, but when we're seeing her availability and vulnerability, we are automatically drawn in. So let me just tell you that. So it's you don't have to be the 10. Just work on you and you'll be good and you'll be married in a hot second.
Mm, that's good. I think my takeaway is uh is that there's more emphasis from men being put on vulnerability from women that I think women realize. Not that we need to pretend to be a damsel in distress, but what
No.
I'm hearing is yes, comb your hair and brush your teeth, like, but in being yourself, there's a difference between being single and in being available. And
Yeah,
just
because
because a woman is single and is wanting to be married doesn't mean that she's available, doesn't mean that the way she's engaging is showing that kindness, that vulnerability, that femininity toward men, that is kind of giving them that signal that this is someone who, yeah.
yeah, for example, something as simple as, let's say you're just going to the grocery store. I'm going to take 2 minutes, put my hair in a bun, and make sure that I look halfway decent. I'm available because my heart is saying I'm looking to attract you. I want you, my potential husband, to look at me and say, not eager. I'm not saying being eager, but I'm saying putting yourself in a position to be talked to. The face says everything. There's so many women with the two middle fingers in the air with their face. Like, do I know you? Do I? Who said you could come talk to me? Are you a weirdo? Like
Yeah.
there's so many. A lot of the reason why men don't talk to a lot of women is because there's that whole very real "don't talk to me" on their face.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say with a lot of women, you in trouble right now. But I'm glad you are, because the truth
Sorry.
of it is, we need to hear this, because sometimes we've been hurt, we've been through
Mm-hmm.
things, and we're wearing that shield.
Yep.
Deep inside our heart, we might want to be loved and we want to engage, but we are acting so defensive that it
Mm-hmm.
actually giving the signal that we're not available presently.
Let me share this. Knowing your value and your worth is extremely important to be able to search out his value and his worth.
Mhm.
Instead of saying, is he worthy of me? That's a defensive position and posture. But you're confident in who you are. You're trying to find value and worth in him. And that sense of openness to try to get to know somebody and try to feel out who they are. I see the virtue in you and the good in you. That's the difference.
Listen, we gonna be flowing almost into meditation Monday if you keep dropping jewels like that. But
Sorry.
that phrase, is he worthy of me? I think you just hit so many women, especially if when we're single in like 30s and beyond. Is he worthy of me? Is it versus, you know, who are you?
Can I just say one more thing? And I
We
probably
listen. Okay, one
one
more.
more thing, and I said everybody wants a king, but a king is not looking for a woman who's going to ask herself, "Is he worthy of me?" No king is going to pay attention to that because that is too high maintenance. That means for me, I'm always going to have to be affirming you to make you feel good about you. I'm always going to have to be chasing you to make sure that you are feeling good and that we're okay. That's not what a king wants. There's no time for that. I'm 30, 40 plus. There's no time for that.
Yeah.
What I need is for you to know who you are and we're matched up. Let's run. That's what a guy wants.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing with us again tonight, letting us into the minds of men, having those conversations that a lot of times, well, the men aren't going to have with us while they're dating us. And for
No.
some of us, we may not have those brothers or those close male relationships that can kind of break it down in this way. You get to make use of your pastoral gift. Hear what most men are thinking. We're not saying this is all men by any stretch of
Absolutely.
the imagination.
Absolutely.
There's exceptions to everything, but it really helps to hear some of the things that we may not normally hear from most men. So we appreciate you very much.
No
And
problem.
I guess I have to see people not in quarters. LOL. Yo, it's gonna be a fun ride for some of us for sure. And
Yes.
I just want
That's not indicative of a healthy relationship. Once a quarter
to
for is not going to work.
yeah, it's really good. And if you guys are loving Pastor Nick, some of you might even be on his Facebook page right now. And I have to say that you can go ahead and come back at about 6:30. He does meditation Mondays. On Mondays, he goes deep into really spiritual topics and just kind of get your mind going on some spiritual things. So we welcome you to come back and participate in that. Otherwise, come back and join us again next Monday, 5:30 p.m. Holler, join the conversation. Future Wives Club. See you
Yep.
then. Bye-bye.
All right.